Here to tell his inspiring story is Bishop Lynch's very own Justin Wren.
Thank you guys for being here and showing up after school. And yeah, I appreciate the warm welcome. It's pretty crazy being back here after like 9 years of not being here. This is awesome. I graduated 10 years ago and I had only come back once. This is my second time. I've been traveling a lot. So it's awesome to see y'all. I've seen some of you in the hallways and in Mr. Cantor's class. And I just want to thank you for being very encouraging today. To me, I didn't know so many have known my story. So thank you for that. I'm excited to share that story with you today. But first, I would love to connect and just say that I was a Bishop Lynch student, and it was a blast. They even have some blackmail on me today. That's why I laugh. Who does Operation Oddball or participates in it, right? Pretty much everybody. Is there anyone in here that like was the champ? Anyone in here that was like the champ of it? Well, I was the champ 2 years in a row, junior, senior year. I was a Geisha girl my junior year, and I was Tinkerbell my senior year. I actually won both years in a row. Something that would help introduce this talk is a video, but I want to set it up. One of the things that the Mabuti Pygmies, my family in the Congo, says, they have a proverb. And the proverb says, but if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping in a closed room with a mosquito. I know that if there was 7, 8 tops, 7 or 8 mosquitoes in here, probably all of us, or at least half of us, would know it. It would make a difference, no matter how big or small in our lives. When I met the Pygmies the first time, I left the Congo feeling like I could do absolutely nothing to help them. That their problem was way too big, and that I was way too small. But luckily, through God and His grace, He showed me otherwise. Also, some of the principles I learned here at Bishop Lynch. But we're going to show this video, and I just want y'all to know that I sat in the same seat that you're sitting in now. I wore the same uniform, where I only wore the Tinkerbell outfit once, and then wear the skirt. But I wore the tie, and I had been here, and this problem that I saw with my own eyes, it seemed way too big, and I seemed way too small. But through God and His grace, and things I learned here at Bishop Lynch, and along the way, God's done this. And this isn't to pat me on the back, but it's to introduce our talk. You know, there's no slaves today. You got rid of that in the 1800s. Slavery in today's age? Why? Why should it exist?
Walikuwa natuita tuko basukomu. Bado mjini biko nasema hata sasa biko nasema.
We're getting ready to go back next month and help finish a lot of the story and tell people what's happening. Not only has the land purchases have grown from 2,470 acres of land. We've established 10 new villages, and it's almost 3,000 acres of land that's bought in their name legally. Instead of 12 or 13 water wells, like whenever I was there for the full year. One of the great things that Water For and Fight for the Forgotten gets to do is we walk into a community and we want to inspire them that, hey, you're not a bunch of just, people might treat you like you're a charity case, but we see goodness in you. We see great things in your future. We believe in you. There's hope, even though this situation looks hopeless. And we get to put the tools in their hands and the knowledge and training in their heads and send them out. And so instead of the 12 or 13 water wells I've been there for about a year and a half total or more, but during the year straight I was there, our team of 18 full-time employees that are all Congolese, they've pumped out 35 water wells. For me, that's the proof in the pudding, that like this isn't dependent on one guy or one organization. Like, this is dependent on the people in their own country who are suffering. And we can empower them. We can encourage them, and we can let them, show them a way out of their poverty. Instead of, I did say this in Mr. Kinter's class earlier, but I think there's a huge difference in charity and opportunity. And I believe that opportunity is greater than charity. And a lot of times charity is done in the wrong ways. And what I mean by that is charity is great for natural disasters, or famines, or for people with disabilities who can't help themselves. But just because somebody lives in a poor country on a poor continent doesn't mean they can't help themselves. And so throwing them a fish instead of teaching them to fish actually can a lot of times hurt people more than help people. I've seen charity actually cripple communities instead of empower them. And so we wanted to do it in a completely different way. How can we come in here and love them, truly love them, not for a flash in the pan, or a lot of Americans or a lot of NGOs, they show up in a community, and I call it the show up, and blow out technique. They come in with a parade, they have a party, they get a bunch of pictures, and they go home feeling like heroes. And what our model and what we hope at Fight for the Forgotten and Water Forward is that we get to make the locals the heroes. The 18 people that are better fighters than me, that are still there, that are still in the forest, that are living on just beans and rice and struggling to get clean water. They're my heroes. And so that's what I want people to see and hear and really highlight. So for me, I would like to rewind just a little bit for maybe the 20, 30 minutes that I have with you. I grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth. Bishop Lynch, in a lot of ways, I would say in a lot of ways saved my life or changed my life. Before I came here, in middle school especially, the bullying that I went through really heightened. I used to sit at the lunch table by myself, get pelted in the back of the head with chocolate milk spit wads, and I remember 7th grade homecoming. You guys are crazy now with homecoming, right? It goes around your neck. And I thought it was crazy when it was, anyways, it's nuts, but it's only a Texas thing if you guys didn't know that. I love Texas, it's okay. But I remember in 7th grade buying a mum for a girl named Jessica and going to homecoming with her. And we went up to the top of the bleachers, and at halftime, basically the 7th and 8th grade all turned around to stare at me, or us, and look at us. And this kid started walking up. He was kind of the notorious, popular kid, but also the bully. And he walked right up to us and he put his arm out. His name's Justin. And so he put his arm out, and Jessica just wrapped her arm right around his arm. And he grabbed the stream or banner or whatever it is that said Justin and Jessica. And he said, "Thanks for getting this for her." And he said, "You didn't really think she was going to go with you, did you?" And then he just walked right away with her. And the whole school laughed. Fast forward next year, 8th grade. I had my biggest middle school crush was a girl named Jennifer. And with Jennifer, sorry if there's someone in here, Jennifer, I'm sure you're sweet and nice. And I heard someone whispering. But I went to, I got invited to her birthday party, and I thought it was awesome. And, well, that's a cool connection. It was a costume contest, and the winner got a prize, and that was what was on the invitation. And so I remember researching, everyone at school was talking about what they were going to wear. And, I found out that Jennifer loved Dr. Pepper because her dad worked there, and also Transformers were big at that time. And so I decided to make myself into from head to toe, a Dr. Pepper Transformer with all the cardboard boxes, a helmet, a chest plate. I mean, I had boots on, I had the armor everywhere. I even had a Dr. Pepper cardboard shield that I had. A Texas boy with duct tape who can do a lot of stuff. And one of the things you guys didn't hear is that Bishop Lynch meant a lot to me because we drove 67 miles round trip. I'm from a small little country town called Crowley, and we still lived there when I went here. And so I would drive before school, before the sun was up, I was on the road, and after wrestling practice, and on the way back, the sun was already down before I got home. It meant a lot to me to be able to come here because it was completely different. Going back to that birthday party, whenever I showed up, Mimi answered the door. And whenever she answered the door, I walked in and the rumors were true, that she really did have a Dr. Pepper machine inside her house. You didn't even have to pay, you just push the button and it pops it out. So I have a Dr. Pepper sword in one hand and a Dr. Pepper, a Dublin Dr. Pepper in the other. And I walked to the backyard, door opened, I just remember getting greeted by a couple of flashes of light and people pointing and the sound of laughter. And I was the only one that was dumb enough to dress up. And I remember hearing that same guy from the year before tell me that I'm worthless. I heard Jennifer say, I can't believe you thought you were good enough to come to my party. I heard another kid say, you should just kill yourself. And so at 13 years old, I don't know if there's anyone in here that's 13 or around that age, but at 13 years old, I started dealing with depression heavily. So much so that I wanted to kill myself. And luckily, my parents transferred me out of that school, saved me from kind of all those bullies. I had a growth spurt, I cut my chili bowl haircut. I went to a school, started wrestling, I was the only wrestler at the entire school, but somehow they hosted the TAP state championship here at Bishop Lynch, and I wrestled against the senior that was supposed to win the states, and I ended up beating him. I came here to wrestle under King Monday and Kim Cross and Tim Matthews, Bob Liston, and all sorts of different great people that were here at Lynch. And I'm saying that, but really, like, you just saw that I took something from my childhood, tried to turn it around, because I remember my mom asking me, are you sure you want to do this? Because my junior year was my first year here, and that's whenever I was the geisha girl. And so it was only a couple months into school, and I'm like, it's completely different here. When I came here, like, people loved wrestling, and they were supportive, and they weren't bullying me, and I had some friends, and I found passion and purpose, and something to focus on during that time of depression. And so it was like light and day to me from my old school to here. And then I started wrestling, became multiple-time TAPS and prep state champion and national champion, and went to the Olympic Training Center to wrestle. Then I got into the UFC, or I started fighting professionally at 19 years old. Was on the Ultimate Fighter TV show, that was cool and stuff. But whenever I broke my arm and dislocated it and tore the ulnar collateral ligament, I got hooked hard on pain pills, on opiates, on oxy, on different stuff, and I couldn't go without it. Like my mind didn't just want it, my body physically needed it. And I loved that it took away my pain here, but I also really enjoyed that it numbed me as a person. It numbed my emotions and the thoughts that I had about myself. Because even as the state champion or